You're listening to Flush Your Fat for Good with Jackie and Dr. Vicky, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us, all you guys on Facebook land, and also our buddies in the private Facebook room called Flush Your Fat for Good Buddies. We want to welcome you. My name is Jackie Paget Baird.
And my name is Dr. Vicky Arcady.
And this is called Flush Your Fat for Good, Be Lean and Healthy for Life. And today we've got a lot of really cool statistics for you, information that everybody's always confused how to go about losing their weight, and should I count calories? Should I starve myself to death? Should I just eat watermelon? I remember the watermelon diet. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
The pineapple diet. You eat that till your tongue bleeds. It's a good
Grapefruit diet.
Yeah. But today, what we really want to do is set the record straight and why Flush Your Fat for Good really does work. And it's a lifestyle for a lifetime. We call it health by design, not by default. And that means, default is your, prepackaged foods, your junk food, your drive-through windows, your quick snacks, your protein bars, your whatever else. Those are default.
The grab food, just
Yeah, the
whatever I
grab.
can get.
Yeah, I'm going out the door. Grab that.
No planning.
Right.
No PPPPP.
What are the 5 P's? P, 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 P. Proper planning prevents poor performance. And really, that's the way Flush Your Fat for Good teaches you how to have habitual ritual. And it's through proper planning, and that prevents a really wonderful performance. So we're going to go through what we discussed on the Facebook posting. Basically, it's calories versus quality, which means calories versus eating quality foods and eating till you're satisfied. And also, there's different ways of looking at, is it inches? Should I get on the scale? We tell everybody to get off the scale. We say, throw that damn scale away, okay? Because it's a big fat liar. It does not measure your bone, your muscles. You really want to know about your fat. And so it's about inches, not pounds. So we're going to discuss that. And we have a phone number if you guys want to call in so that you can ask us questions or discuss something with us. It's 818-570-5085. So I will say that again. I've always wanted to
say it.
That is
a few times.
818-570-5085. So call in if you guys have a question. It's fine to interrupt us because we're going to go the whole hour on talking about this information that people should know. We like to call ourselves kind of a hub for knowledge. And when Dr. Vicky was in practice, we would have patients come in. They loved the waiting room because we had so much knowledge there for them to get them up to date on real information about their health and their weight and things like this. So anyway, we are a lifestyle for a lifetime. This is a program that teaches you how to feed yourself properly for the rest of your life and to never struggle again, to not crave your sweets and starches. You have no more cravings. You're never constantly hungry. You sleep deeper. You think sharper. You have better moods. And, most people, when you're dieting, that's why the first 3 letters in the word diet are die, because you really think you're dying. You're so mad, you're angry, you're grumpy, or you're frustrated. Yeah. And really, with a lifestyle, with Flush Your Fat for Good, you don't even know you're on it because you don't suffer like other people do trying to get the weight off. So one of the most important thing that Flush Your Fat for Good is all about is supporting the optimal digestion, absorption, and elimination. Now, nobody talks about this. They just say, you know, look good in your clothes and I feel better. And some programs do talk about that, you know, their blood sugars will get better and their cholesterol will get better. Some people don't get their cholesterol better because they're eating garbage to get lean. But really, it's about digestion, which is 70 to 80% of your immune system. And if you do not have your digestive tract functioning properly, which I call the pipes of life, you're in for not a pleasant future, okay? So the greatest thing about Flush Your Fat for Good, it's not just about safe, rapid fat loss. It's about being lean and healthy for life. Mm-hmm. So you just have to get the fat off, because we have phase 1 and phase 2. And if you go to flushyourfatforgood.com, that's with the number 4, good.com, go to the storefront. You can check out the whole site, but go to the store and just get the book. You know, the book is $15, and it's a whole workbook that shows you how to do this lifestyle.
It's worth it to check it out. I mean, everybody can afford $15,
Yeah.
you know, and it may be something that you never know. It could absolutely change your life, like it did for many people so
yeah,
far.
we have a couple of thousand doing this now.
Yeah,
So, and we're in about 5 different countries, and it's our passion. This is our passion. We are going after globesity, which is obesity globally now. Mm-hmm. And we know the suffering that so many people, we have what's called a Power 100 Club Heroes group. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But for right now, we want to feature Dr. Vicki, who's the major researcher on anything. If you want to know anything, ask her about it, and then she'll come back to you 6 weeks later, because she wants to know when she tells you what she knows, she really knows it, and she goes through a fine-tooth comb.
That's what college does to you, especially pre-med.
So her segment is Did You Know That? And Did You Know That is what?
That with Flush Your Fat for Good, it's all about inches and not pounds. And with this lifestyle, we teach you how to eat and eat properly. And it's, you know, if you look at fat and you look at lean muscle, you'll see which one weighs more. And the fat is really not weighing very much at all. And fat in our bodies, especially under the skin, the visceral fat around the organs, is just like chicken fat. If you've ever worked with raw chicken and you've worked with the chicken fat, that's what it's like. It's greasy, it's slimy. There's a purpose for it. Don't get me wrong, there's a purpose for fat, but it's when you have too much, it's not good.
Or if you've ever done autopsies,
yeah,
you will know.
Yeah, I've done those, and it's
hard to
it's
get off the gloves.
I could not get it off my gloves. Anyway, it's the truth. But fat weighs less, and with Flush Your Fat for Good, we are losing fat rapidly and safely. And most of the programs out there are still utilizing. In fact, you heard it on TV yesterday, I think, that it's about calorie restriction. But calorie restriction is old news, because if you restrict your calories, you will lose. You'll lose fat, and you'll lose lean muscle mass. And if you don't exercise enough, you'll lose your bone density. Now, we don't want that.
No, you're really losing them.
Yeah, I
Everything.
mean, that is pretty new information. I just saw a study today on that, that you do lose your bone density. And if you exercise while you're on calorie restriction, you may not lose your bone density because of that, because of gravity on the force of the bones, with the bones. It keeps the bones intact with the minerals. But if you starve yourself enough on these calorie-restricted diets, you will lose your minerals from your bone. You will. I mean, your body's going to take from where it needs to take to keep the body working, functioning. So when you get on the scale, unless you have what's called a DEXA scan, where it measures your fat, your bone, and your lean muscle mass, you're not going to know, what the composition of your body is. But if you remember the Big Loser, that show, that was a 30-week program. These people were, I think, 328 pounds in the show, and they really restricted their diet. Can you imagine 328 pounds? They restricted their calorie intake tremendously, and severely, I should say, and they exercised these people to the max. I mean, it must have been hours a day. I couldn't even watch it. It was hard to watch because these people were so heavy, and it was hard enough as it was for them to ambulate and get around, and they were doing all these exercises on their feet, and it was just looked excruciating to me and painful. Well, they found out that the body does not give up the fat easily when you restrict your calories like that and starve yourself, and you're overly exerting yourself. There has to be a reserve mechanism. So they found that these people lost about 120 pounds in 30 weeks, which is very good. That's about we have about the same kind of weight loss, I would say.
Well, 30 you have weeks, 52 weeks in the year.
7 months.
So we usually have in Safe Rapid Fat
That's about
loss,
70 pounds.
Yeah.
70 pounds for us. It's about 10 pounds a month.
But average. It's not bone and muscle.
No, it's fat.
Right.
But these people, initially, they were burning little over 2,900 calories per day. Okay, these people that were at their top weight, 328 pounds, I think, or in the 300s. After 30 weeks, their metabolism slowed down. They were exercising, but their calories were very severely cut. So by the end of 30 weeks, they were burning 2,000 calories a day, which is almost $1,000 calorie decrease.
Okay, wait, I want to write this down.
Okay, so, and then they checked them 6 years later. I mean, this happened years ago. They checked them 6 years later, and their metabolism showed that they burned 1,900 calories a day. So you see,
that's not an improvement.
It stayed the same and went down, their metabolism. So what the researchers were saying was, when you severely starve yourself and you restrict your calories, the body thinks you're in trauma, survival mode, and it's not easy for the body to bring up that metabolism again. So here's a shout out to some of our buddies out there who are severely overweight, and they have lost some weight, a good amount of weight, maybe 100 pounds, maybe 80 pounds, 60 pounds, but then they get that old paradigm back where they feel like if they eat the calorie thing, where they feel like if they eat too much or they eat 3 meals a day, they're going to gain weight again.
Right.
But on Flush Your Fat for Good, we eat nutrient-dense foods. And if you did check the calories that you eat all day long on our lifestyle, you would find out that it's not a lot of calories. But it's medium. It's probably about, I can't even say, I didn't calculate, but I think it's under 2,000 calories. I would say under 2,000 calories.
But how we say, you don't overeat, you don't undereat.
No.
So what Flush Your Fat for Good does is train the brain, and it tells you when you're hungry.
And
what
today,
you should be eating.
in our Facebook room, we had a situation where one of our newbies, which is one of our new buddies, we call them newbies, she was telling me that she had her fruit and her, we have fruit first thing in the morning, She was having her fruit, and then she was going to have her yogurt and nuts, goat yogurt and nuts. And she says, I just don't feel like eating. I'm not hungry. And she's been on it, I would say 5 weeks now, 4 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. Yeah. Well, what's happened is she's starting to absorb her foods. Right. So when you start absorbing your foods, you're not that hungry. You feel satisfied. And we say we're training the brain just like a baby. Some days your babies will eat you out of house and home and your children. Other days they don't want to eat. And that's because they're functioning with the brain dictating to them what the body should be doing. The brain's in charge of calories in and everything, and how much you should be eating, and the satiety center, being satisfied. So what we do with our lifestyle is we do not do calories. That's old news, and it's very it can be very damaging. If any of you out there, which I'm sure there aren't very many, who experienced yo-yoing,
like you,
probably
everybody's
8 out of 10 people, probably every person who has ever had a weight problem experienced yo-yoing. I mean, that's a fact. And we talked about this last week about how the holidays will put on the pounds if you allow yourself to eat too much and go overboard, and it won't go away. It'll be cumulative until the next holiday, like summer, and then you're eating barbecues, blah, 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 and then the next holiday, and that's how you stack on the pounds. So what you want to do is get that CLA that we have on our website, fleshyourfatforgood.com. Get the CLA so you keep yourself, keep burning that fat.
And this is great for the belly fat.
Yeah.
But it prevents the enlargement of fat cells, and then it breaks them up, and it also assists in helping build lean muscle mass. But you can get this on the website in the storefront, and this is an amazing product.
And we kept the price low. It's very competitive.
Right.
It's high quality. It's high milligrams. You can't really find too many of those with that.
No, because we made sure we private labeled it that way, so that we could have it pure cold press. But this way you take 2 twice a day.
Right. And so I would highly recommend that through the holidays. That's really good advice. And you can take, I think, up to how many a day? 6,000? 6 a day?
6,000, yeah.
6,000.
6 to 9.
6 to 9 a day. But if you look at, I think we had a picture of fat, which is disgusting. The fat, if you had a blob of fat, you can go to the butcher and say, can you show me 5 pounds of fat, And it's really horrible. It's not fun to look at. And if you can imagine that all inside, under your skin, around your organs where you can't see it, that is the stuff that needs to come off. That's the stuff that's dangerous. And the inches are your belly fat and the fat that will quickly come off. It's not the inside internal fat around your organs. But the inches, you'll see them come off right away. And I think we have a picture of 2 people. It's a cartoon, but one guy is a muscle guy, 154 pounds. I think they're the same height.
Yes, they are.
And the other guy is very morbidly obese. He looks like he's about 100 pounds overweight. And they both weigh the same. But the heavy guy has fat on him, and the muscle guy with a slim and trim and fit, he's all muscle.
This is why we get a lot of times on the Facebook page, we'll get a post saying, why am I losing inches and not pounds?
Right.
And they're dumbfounded. They've gone down in about 3 dress sizes or a couple of pant sizes, and they get on the scale, and we know it's a damn liar, so we tell them, but these are scaleaholics, and they have to get on the scale, and we try to re-educate them all the time. The scale does not give you the truth, but the inches do. When you do Flush Your Fat for Good, many times in our book, in the workbook, we at the back of the page, we have a place, the back of the book, we have a page where you can mark your measurements. For all those people that like to measure every part of their body, and every week, it's just astounding what you see.
We even have you measure the neck, the chin, arms, several places in the arms,
And
the
you-
wrists.
Yeah, and you take note of it, and then you see every week. It's amazing. You're melting away.
Well,
But
not every week. We don't recommend every week.
well, some people like to measure every week, but you don't have to. I mean, you can do it whenever you want. And personally, honestly, I never did it.
She never did it. She just, I had to say to her one day, we were going to a conference, and I said, you know what? You either go out and buy new clothes, or I'm not going with you because your clothes are so baggy. So it's embarrassing.
It's
You
great in
it's
the
time to get new clothes.
In the summer, when all of a sudden your clothes are so loose, you feel like you're in a muumuu,
Yeah.
And I'm a Taurus, so I just stay in the same clothes all the time. But
We had a guy in the room that said he went down to the beach. It was summer in his trunks, and he said he went down to the beach, and I guess he took off his jeans or something, and his trunks fell off. Well, luckily he had underwear on, thank God. But
this goes along with, why am I losing inches and not pounds?
Right.
Because you're gaining pounds with your muscle,
your
and
muscle,
your bone.
you're gaining the muscle
And we always tell them.
and bone density.
Right, and they say, and bone density. Look at your muscles hold up your skeletal structure.
By the way, CLA causes, there was a study with female middle-aged mice that gained bone density with CLA.
Right.
So they didn't have any diet restrictions or anything. They just took CLA. So
Okay.
I had to bring that in because
No, that's good.
there are very few studies like that with that show the bone density increasing. So
But there's a lot more things that happen with CLA. Trust
Oh,
me.
yeah,
All you have to do is
we're gonna do a whole thing
yeah.
on
We
it.
could do a whole show on CLA,
Right.
and your jaw will drop. I mean, so many, because it comes from grass-fed cows. It's in some other foods, but mostly grass-fed cows. And 80%, maybe even more now, of the people do not eat grass-fed cows. They eat grains, grain-fed cows.
Right.
Cows were not meant to eat grains. So we're losing that conjugated linoleic acid. And if you just do an internet search on the benefits of CLA, your jaw will drop. But I was saying, we tell them when they say, well, I've only lost 10 pounds, I've lost 3 dress sizes, but but they've really lost maybe 12 or 13. Because they put on overall extra muscle, lean muscle mass, which is what you want, because it holds up your skeletal structure. When you'll notice with people on Flush Your Fat for Good, when they first start, they're kind of slumping, they're tired, they are only having maybe one bowel movement a day or every other day. This is usual people. They're walking around, all around, go to the airport. Every single one of them are like that. But when they've been on Flush Your Fat for Good for about 4 to 6 weeks, you see an amazing transfer, because their posture is better.
changes. Yeah.
They're up stronger. Their muscles are holding up their skeletal structure. Their skin tone and the color in their face, and that a lot of that has to do with the GLA,
And
gamma-linoleic acid.
They're feeling better. I mean, they feel better. But what you want to do is, back to calorie restriction. If you're not eating enough throughout the day, like some people, they'll go from morning till my mailman. He says, "Oh, I have fruit in the morning." I says, "Oh, that's great."
Right.
He says, "But I won't eat till 3 in the afternoon."
Bad.
He says, "I go all morning without eating anything until 3." I go, "You can't do. That's not good." Why? Why is that? Because if you have a fire, if you have your fireplace going, how do you keep the fire going? You have to keep tossing wood in there.
Right, kindling.
And that fire is the same as your metabolism. So if you don't eat enough, you buddies out there that aren't eating enough, we don't ask you to eat full-blown meals or big, whole portions. We just want you to eat a little something. If it's time for your protein meal, first protein meal, eat a little something. If you're not that hungry, don't eat a lot. Listen to your brain. That will get your metabolism going. Your brain's going to say, "Oh my gosh, food's coming down. Okay, good. Let's go. Let's burn that up." Then you go into your second protein meal when it's time. You wait the amount of hours that you need to wait for food combining. Then you go into your second protein meal, and if you're not that hungry, don't eat a lot, but eat something. Eat what you need to eat, especially your protein. Get your protein in. And the brain will say, oh, there's still food coming.
Right.
Okay, food keeps coming. So the brain says, food keeps coming. I can count on that food coming in. So I'm going to ramp that metabolism up. If you're starving, and then you burn the fat. If you're starving yourself and you have calorie restriction, your brain's saying, well, I don't know when the next meal's coming. I don't know when we're going to have nutrition again. I better slow this down. Slow down this metabolism. I don't trust this body. They may just not feed us, and for a long time, and we've got to keep them. It makes sense. If you're working out and you're getting your heart rate up, it doesn't stay up. It eventually, as you work, weeks and weeks and weeks, your heart rate will go lower from your normal. It'll start to go lower because your body will adapt, and your body knows that it can work less by having less beats per minute, right? So the same thing goes with your metabolism. If your brain knows there's food coming in, it's going to ramp it up and keep it up. Keep the metabolism firing. If you're depleting your calories and the brain is not getting the nutrition, or you're eating bad foods, you're eating junk foods that are nutritionally dead.
Right.
There's no nutrition. Your metabolism is going to slow down, and these people that do that, especially our Power 100 heroes, these people are grossly having malabsorption. They have serious malabsorption symptoms and syndrome. Mm-hmm. They're the same as a kid that's starving to death. They are not getting the nutrition. And therefore, they keep eating the calories, the dead calories. It's dead calories. The fast food is full of calories, fat, sugar, all that, starch, and the meat, the protein also. But it's high calorie, no nutrition.
Right.
We have low calorie, pretty low calorie, normal calorie, very high nutrition.
Very high.
Very high. So
which stimulates the mitochondria in the cell and gets the burning of the fat as well. Your analogy about the stoking the fire,
yes.
Same thing with the campgrounds. If you've ever went camping and all of a sudden you want to go to sleep in your tent, but you don't want that fire to die down, you got to throw kindling on the fire to make it burn and to keep the heat going. The kids that are constantly eating, or not just kids, I mean, we see a lot
adults
of people.
too.
Yeah, eating chips.
They can't stop eating.
They're eating certain foods and they're starving and they're craving it because they're trying to get amino acids out of those foods and they're not in there. So the more you wind up feeding yourself proteins, more healthy proteins, and when you eat on Flush Your Fat for Good, you digest better. We recommend digestive enzymes all the time,
yes,
because
very
approximately 15%, every 10 years you lose 15% of your digestive output. So you really want to stress. I mean, I'm sure none of you guys have any stress whatsoever. But stress is going to wipe out your digestive enzymes. You got to have digestive enzymes to help you to digest your foods, especially when you are trying to burn the fat, and you want to have your foods, broken down properly so that then they can be absorbed. If you're eating garbage or you're stressed out and you're not food combining properly, then your foods aren't going to digest well. Then you're not going to absorb anything. And when you absorption is extremely important, because all those nutrients, they go through the villi hairs and the mucosal cells of the intestinal tract, and then that is sent all over the body to build, repair, and maintain the integrity of your bones, your blood, your tissue, your organs, your hormones. This is why we eat. This is why we don't drink our food, such as different kinds of shakes and things like that, because God gave us teeth, and we've got to chew and masticate our foods in our mouth so that it prepares our stomach to receive the food to release more digestive enzymes to prepare it to be sent in to the smaller intestine to be able to be absorbed. Then we eliminate. You should really eliminate from 3 to 4 bowel movements a day.
That's another podcast.
That's another
Poop.
podcast.
Poop.
Yeah.
But, I also wanted to say that I saw a scientific documentary about the people in Okinawa and how they live well into the triple digits. And the journalist doing the documentary, he noticed that their foods were he was a nutritionalist actually. He said they were nutritionally dense, their foods. They ate a lot. They had large portions of foods. They ate a lot of fish, they ate a lot of soy, they a lot of the bok choys, the radishes, all kinds of vegetables, the Japanese vegetables. But he showed his platter. He said it was a big square platter full of food, and it was mostly vegetables, like with your Jackie's chicken salad. And they had a pretty good amount of protein on there. But he said that's the key to living a long life. Diet is what you eat is everything. It's more than 95% of your health as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it's how you survive on an alien planet.
Yeah.
If you want to live long and prosper, if you want to live long and suffer, I mean, they have plenty of drugs to keep you going.
But we want to live a long time. We want to live healthy, and we want to be lean. So, the workbook teaches you how to eat, what to eat, when to eat it, and I think the workbook itself is a great education for people to learn about foods and how to eat. And if you want to try to check us out, I mean, we urge you to just try this for 1 to 2 months, especially right now. If you could just try this lifestyle for a couple months, and we're here to help you. We're all in the Facebook room. It's Flush Your Fat for Good Buddies. Private Facebook room.
But it's a passion of ours, and really it's a challenge for you if you would really like to, by January 1, instead of making your New Year's resolution that you want to lose weight and get healthy, then if you start now, the whole month of December, you can be losing from 15 to 20 pounds.
Well, we say pounds because that's our
our measure, because
that's our measurement.
Well, it's because
designation.
It's been determined safely for people that women can lose from up to 3 pounds safely a week, and for men, it's a good sometimes 4 to 5.
Right.
And if you just say
the men do very well.
And yeah, we say pounds right now because it's usually more inches, and inches are measured all the way around, but. Just to keep it simple right now, I mean, throughout the whole month of December, if you guys wanted to start on Flush Your Fat for Good right now, go over and get the workbook and get going. And also become a VIP member on our website, because that's where we have the 23 videos of Dr. Vicki and I cooking in the kitchen, and we have staples that we recommend for you to eat constantly, and all kinds of good stuff like that. If you guys want to call in, we have some time if anybody wants to call in and ask a question.
It's 818-570-5085. That's 818-570-5085. This past Thanksgiving, which was for those of us in North America, in the United States, we had a little bit of talk about that last week, but I'm hoping that everybody was able to get through it without getting sick, and overstuffed, because that's the key, and when you learn how to follow our lifestyle, oh my gosh, we had so much food at your house, and it was just overwhelming.
We were constantly eating, but we were the only ones. We had some friends that joined us, and my kids' friends, young adults, and every single one of them, because we had it set up for anybody that would want to eat any different kinds of foods. But we knew with the banquet of foods that we had, what we were going to eat for ourselves. It was either going to be phase 1 or phase 2, and we knew the choices that we were going to make. But to them, it was a smorgasbord, and they were going to all take all of it, right? And all we heard is what you always hear every holiday. Oh my God, I'm so stuffed, and I gotta go lay down, and oh my, I don't think I can. Is there one more piece of pie? Okay, let me. So,
I don't care. I'm gonna eat this.
Yeah,
you know.
Right. I don't have to work tomorrow. I'm just gonna eat till I throw up. You know. And the thing is, there's no need to eat bad food to have a good time, and you can never go wrong eating right. So. If you make choices to do the things properly the way God made your body, this is Flush Your Fat for Good, is based on biochemistry and physiology. It's all about how God made your body and how you should be feeding yourself regularly. So, as I always say, how old do you want to be when you take your last breath? To me, I want to be 111. Every time I ask that of somebody, they go, well, I've never thought about that. I don't know. I said, you better start thinking about it because, you know, your choices determine your destiny. So what you put in your mouth, if you really had a blueprint of how to really feed yourself properly so that you live long and healthy instead of suffering, you know, you don't get certain health conditions on the weekend. It takes sometimes 10 to 30 years for cancer to grow. You don't get an autoimmune on Sunday. You know, it just gradually starts coming, and before you know it, you have an issue and you got to go to the doctor. You know, when you get a cold, you don't know you have a cold until the following week.
Right.
Because if somebody sneezes on the countertop, right?
Right.
What is the life? The life of that is 3 days, right? So then, you know.
It's just waiting to get you 3 days.
So if somebody sneezes or whatever, you catch a cold. You don't know you have a cold. The thing is, the proper
incubation period.
Yes, proper planning prevents poor performance. What we're trying to share with you is take your life seriously. Take your health seriously. I'm a 2-time widow with 3 kids. Trust me, you just never know. The Bible says we're not guaranteed tomorrow. No kidding. And
sure.
You got to really know the difference. What we're trying to teach you here is counting calories is ridiculous. You know, where does it say, you know, in cavemen got up and started measuring certain things?
Well, you know, you can have a piece of chocolate cake or you can have, you know, 2 eggs.
Right.
What's better?
What's going to last long? What's going to build, repair,
what's going to
maintain?
help you? What's going to make you feel
what's
better?
What's going to make you feel strong, smart, sharp, have a better mood? What's going to help prevent you from having to face that man in the white coat and he says you got 6 months to live?
And did you know that here's another did you know that if you crave chocolate, that means you're low in magnesium? So that means you have to eat more greens.
Thank you very much. That's a good tip.
Thank you, Dr. Lyndon Smith.
Yes.
And if you eat sugar, you utilize. I think I posted it in the room today. It takes, I think, 8 molecules of magnesium to process sugar, and potassium. The potassium is completely used up when you eat sugar, and that's why you get the sores in your mouth. It's from the potassium being depleted.
From the chocolate?
From the sugar and
from the sugar.
Sweets.
Yeah.
From the sweets, sugar.
Dark chocolate is, if it's unsweetened, it's good. And it's got the theobromine in it, that's why they give chocolate. Well, you know, Valentine's Day was not, you know, milk chocolate with all this sugar and stuff like that. It was a very, very dark chocolate and very rich with theobromines and which is mood elevating, so that's why they would give their lovers chocolate.
That's the history of chocolate, on Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
And chocolates and See's candy.
Yeah. Oh boy. But you know, when you're on Flush Your Fat for Good, you have none of those cravings.
No.
The trick is if you're out at the holidays and you look at something and your mind triggers the fact that you want that, because after 72 hours on Flush Your Fat for Good, you don't have cravings anymore for sugars and starches.
Nope.
It's weird but it's true.
She was the sugar queen.
Oh, I could eat 6 donuts and then go back for more. I could eat a loaf of bread and still want another loaf of bread. I know all about this. I am not like her. I'm not into sugar. No, as a kid, I just didn't like it. I'm like, what? What is wrong with you?
She's like, just have it. You're such a goody two shoes. And I says, I'm not a goody two shoes. It doesn't make me feel good, and I don't enjoy it. So what's the point?
She was smarter than I was.
My mother raised me that way.
Yeah.
That's how it was.
Well, my mom raised me. She was an Adele Davis follower.
See?
And we could
There you
not
go.
have Oreo cookies in the house, but she made the homemade stuff. And of course, then what happens is you go over to your friend's house and you have Oreos. Oh my God! And then you start, as kids, you know. But later on, when I was on the road as a musician, I got extremely ill. And when you're really in trouble, the first thing you do is you go back to what your parents taught you, or the good foundation of what.
Comfort.
My mother taught me certain things that I was like, okay, my mommy's not with me because I'm a grown-up woman now, but I'm on the road and I'm sick as, I feel like I'm going to die. And I had to go back to thinking, what were the teachings that my mother would have taught me? And my dad was a bioanalyst. He was the first bioanalyst and pathologist of the state of California. He
I had a
actually
nickel.
Well, he actually discovered the use of African frogs.
Well, here in the valley.
Yes.
He was here in the valley in a
and
woody.
Africa
Yeah.
and all over the world.
But didn't he have a woody? He had the first mobile lab.
He designed the first mobile lab to take anywhere to someone homebound to do any test possible except for x-rays. And he used the Exonopus exclavius African frogs for pregnancy tests.
Tell him about the frogs.
The frogs.
They're still out there.
Oh
Where are
no,
they?
we
In
can't talk about that right now.
Wait, where are the frogs?
God bless.
How
my
big
mother.
were they? They were like this
No, they were
big?
huge, and they had teeth. They did. And if they're up in Lancaster,
Frogs with teeth, can you imagine?
well, we had big, huge reservoirs, and there was a lot of frogs there that my dad brought back for testing, and we had a big
They're like
rains.
lab rats, right?
They're huge, and we had a big, huge rainstorm, and the frogs got up and they migrated and they went into the Feather River Project, eating all the wonderful fish in there, and people would find them up on their porches, eating out of the dog bowl. So, anyway, that's another podcast.
That's another podcast.
And both my parents have passed, so.
Hey, if anybody has a question, 818-570-5085. You might want to ask a question about the frogs.
Yeah, no,
I'm just kidding.
You know, I like frog legs. That's a protein. So, getting back to Flush Your Fat, we want to help you guys. We want to help you.
It's really fun. You guys
It's
have to.
fun.
You have to try it. You have. You can just try it. Just get the workbook and try it.
Well, the thing is, it's not just that it's fun. It's freaky.
It's effective.
Yeah, it's freaky how after the first week, you really start to feel good. You start to
True.
be clear in thinking.
You sleep.
You
have
sleep
energy.
deeper. You start thinking clearer. Your mood picks up,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because your hormones are starting to balance. Especially you people that are having pre-diabetic or sugar irregularities. You'll be amazed at what's happening
Or
with the sugar.
hyperinsulinemia.
Hyperinsulinemia.
Insulin resistance.
Yeah. And, you know, we have a passion for those that are obese.
Yes.
Because, you know, that's why we call them heroes, the Power 100 heroes, because they're giving life a second chance.
Yeah.
And they're learning to eat themselves thin. They've gone through all of the surgeries, the techniques, the diets, the prepackaged foods, the, you know, whatever, the sleeve, all different kinds of gimmicks. Just drink your food for 6 months, you know, these kind of things. It's done nothing but harm them.
They were desperate, and you know, if they have to resort to the surgery, the bariatric surgery, I found out in that study you sent me today that the metabolism drops when they have that surgery too.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense.
And they gain it back.
Yeah.
So many of them gain it back, and then their metabolism is dropped, and they can't.
Well, they have to cut calories because their
Right.
stomachs, or they reduce the size of the
Right.
stomach.
So most of the people on Flesh Your Fat for Good, actually all of them have said, gosh, I've never eaten so much in my life, and I've lost so much fat. And it's an amazing, because your body becomes a mean machine of burning fat for energy. And
Right.
burning fat is, instead of calories, is so much more efficient.
Instead of burning your food for fuel,
Right.
you want to burn the fat for fuel, and that's where we have our first pillar, nutritional ketosis.
So on our website, we have we have kit starter kit number 1 and starter kit number 2. Starter kit number 1's pretty cool because you get the workbook and you get charts that are very, very cool, and
And the grocery list,
the grocery list.
your favorite.
No, I dig this. I love this because you're running out the door and you just put a magnet on the refrigerator.
And
You open
check
up
it
the
off.
refrigerator and you go, okay, I need this, I need that, I need this. And then you run out the door and you have your list, and it's so cool. Starter kit number 1 also involves the GLA, CLA. And then starter kit number 2 is just the books and the chart. So that's really a great way to get started.
It's a great way to get the whole package.
Yeah.
But if you're, if you just want to check it out, you're low in funds, or you just want to check it out, that's kind of what, some people want to do.
Yeah.
Just get the workbook.
Get the workbook and read through it. I mean,
and ask to join the room. Request to get into the Facebook room, and we'll get you in there, and you'll
this
you'll
is
get going.
also this is sent to you, but it's also a digital download.
It's very
so
convenient.
you can start today.
You could start tonight.
And we
Yes.
also have 23 videos, over 100 audios.
Mm-hmm.
We also put our podcasts on there so you can get up to date on certain things. We have special guest stars. Next week we're going to have Raphael come back.
Oh, he's coming back?
Yeah,
Woo!
because he's been
He's our
working out and he's
trainer.
buffed, yeah. But I also wanted to tell you that we have written a coaching course, and it is 7 modules of all the knowledge that'll get you unbelievably educated on health and well-being.
And the principles behind all of this.
Yes.
And based on, most of it comes from my clinical experience in my practice 30
Mhm.
years ago. So, it's been tried and true on guinea pigs, so
Yeah.
to speak, my patients.
Well, and all that we've learned in the past 60 combined
Yes.
years,
Yes.
along with the last 4 years that we've been doing Flesh Your Fat for Good,
Right.
with over 2,000, almost 3,000 people doing this now.
Yes.
So the education, it's 7 modules. There's a test after each one, and then when you're completed, you get a certificate. So it's very cool.
Yeah, it's a coaching certificate.
But other than that, we will be back next week. You guys can always email us on a subject matter that you want us to talk about. But until then,
And, don't be afraid to call in with questions,
yeah, or
next week. This is also serves as our support and accountability,
Yeah.
troubleshooting. So we can do that for you too. On this.
so until next week, God bless and thanks for joining us.
Good night, everybody. Have a good week.
You're listening to Flush Your Fat for Good with Jackie and Dr. Vicky, only on LA Talk Radio.